Welcome back for another deep dive. This time, we're going behind the scenes of the Lowe Files.
Oh, yeah, the show with Rob Lowe and...
His sons, that's right.
Yeah, they're investigating all those paranormal hotspots.
You know it. And they actually brought on a shamanic consultant, Jon Rasmussen.
Really?
Hmm.
To, I guess, advise them on the spiritual side of things?
Exactly. And Rasmussen actually wrote this blog post where he shares his reflections on the whole experience.
I bet that's a fascinating perspective.
It is. He really blends that entertaining paranormal investigation with some deep shamanic insights.
So what kind of stuff did he learn from working on the show?
Well, one of his key takeaways is this idea of as below, so above.
Okay, so, the spirit world mirrors our own.
Yeah. He's basically saying that the spirit world is a reflection of the physical world.
So it's not some kind of vague, formless afterlife.
Not according to Rasmussen. He gives this example from the Preston Castle episode. They went there, and it's, as you know, notoriously haunted.
Oh, yeah, that place has a pretty dark history.
Well, Rasmussen encountered the spirit of a murderer there.
Well,
And he realized that this murderer was actually suffering more than his victim, who had already moved on.
so, even in the afterlife, your actions have consequences.
It seems that way. It really reinforces the idea that you're still you after you die, at least initially.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you carry over your beliefs and stuff, too?
That's what Rasmussen says. He talks about how people hold on to their beliefs, preferences, even religious affiliations after they pass.
That's wild. It's not like everyone goes to the same heaven or hell then.
Not according to him. He even shares this story about a spirit at Preston Castle that asked for a Christian healing prayer.
Wait, what? How did that happen?
Through one of those spirit communication devices, an ovilus, I think.
So the spirit was actually requesting a specific type of healing based on their beliefs.
It did. It shows you how individualized the afterlife might be, you know?
Yeah, shaped by your own beliefs and experiences. It makes you wonder, what would you ask for in that situation?
I don't even know. It's such a thought-provoking question.
And it highlights that even in the spirit world, people seem to have some agency, some choices to make.
I like that. So we've got as below, so above, and this concept of retaining your identity in the afterlife. What else did Rasmussen learn from his time with the Lowes?
Well, he talks a lot about the importance of flexibility in shamanic work, especially when you're dealing with spirits.
Because they're not exactly known for following a script, right?
Exactly. He calls this principle mysterious ways. You can't go in with a rigid plan. You have to be open to what unfolds.
So less control freak, more go with the flow.
Yeah, exactly. He gives some examples from Preston Castle. Some spirits completely refused to engage.
While others were more talkative.
More than that, actually. One spirit ended up guiding the crew to resolve an interpersonal conflict they were having.
Wait, seriously? A spirit played therapist for the film crew?
Sounds like it. The point is, the outcome wasn't what anyone expected. And Rasmussen saw this unpredictability throughout the show.
I remember that alien abduction episode where they did a fire ceremony to connect with extraterrestrials.
Wow.
It turned into an initiation for Rob Lowe and his sons.
Whoa, not what they signed up for.
Right. They were aiming for aliens, but the spirits, or maybe the universe itself, had something else in store.
Sounds like a lesson in surrendering to the unknown, trusting the process.
Yeah, maybe letting go of the need to control everything. But what happens when things get a little darker, a little scarier?
That's when things get really interesting. Rasmussen talks about self-acceptance as our best protection against negative energy.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
He believes that those negative entities, whatever they may be, feed off our weaknesses, insecurities, self-judgments.
So if I'm already beating myself up internally, I'm more susceptible to those darker forces.
That's the idea. It's about recognizing that those shadow parts, the imperfections, they're part of what makes us human.
And by pushing them away, we're actually giving them more power.
It's like denying a part of yourself. In shamanism, confronting those shadows is called shadow work, bringing them into the light.
So not about being perfect, but about being whole.
Exactly. When you deny or repress parts of yourself, it creates an internal conflict, an imbalance. That's where negativity can slip in.
Makes sense, like leaving the back door unlocked.
You could say that. But the good news is, by addressing those shadows, we can strengthen our spiritual immunity.
So instead of banishing the darkness, we embrace it.
In a way, yes. It's not always easy, but it's essential for anyone navigating the paranormal world, according to Rasmussen.
Whoa, that's a pretty powerful concept. And speaking of powerful, Rasmussen's last insight is about shifting from passive psychic abilities to active visioning. the power to manifest desired outcomes.
Oh, wow. So less about just receiving information, more about creating reality.
That's it. And this has implications for all of us, not just ghost hunters.
Right. Like we all have this untapped potential to shape our lives through intention.
But how do we actually do that? What does that look like?
Well, Rasmussen noticed that Rob Lowe and his sons had these natural shamanic visionary gifts,
Oh, yeah. Like what?
things like tracking and manifesting. And these gifts became really apparent during that remote viewing episode where they had to use their intuition to locate a hidden target.
So you're saying we can actually train our minds to influence reality.
Rasmussen seems to think so. He says true psychic ability lies in harnessing the power of focused intention. And that's something we can all cultivate.
So instead of just seeing what yes, we can start to see and create what could be.
It's about shifting from a victim mentality to an empowered creator mentality.
This is blowing my mind. This is so much more than just a deep dive into a blog post. It's a whole new way of looking at the world.
I agree. It's a reminder that we're not just passive observers. We have the power to shape our reality, both internally and externally.
That is a pretty exciting thought. But I think we need a moment to process all of this before we go any further. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll explore what all of this means for you, the listener. All right, so we've talked about how the spirit world mirrors our own, how we keep our individuality after death, the need for flexibility in shamanic work, and how crucial self-acceptance is in dealing with negative energy.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but now I think it's time to bring this all home.
Okay.
What does this mean for you listening right now?
Well, let's start with that concept of self-acceptance as protection.
Okay.
Have you ever felt like your own insecurities were holding you back?
Oh, all the time.
Rasmussen suggests that those negative feelings, those self-judgments, are exactly what darker forces latch onto.
Oh, wow.
So if I'm constantly criticizing myself, it's like I'm sending out an invitation for negativity.
That's kind of terrifying, but also makes a weird kind of sense.
It's about recognizing that those shadow parts, those imperfections, are part of what makes us human, and pushing them away only gives them more power.
So how do we deal with them then?
In shamanism, confronting their shadows is called shadow work.
Shadow work.
It's about integrating them, bringing them into the light of our awareness.
So instead of trying to be perfect, it's more about being whole. Is that what strengthens our spiritual immunity?
Exactly. Think of it like this. When you deny or repress certain aspects of yourself, it creates an internal conflict, an imbalance.
Okay.
And that's where those negative energies can slip in, exploiting those vulnerabilities.
It's like leaving the back door unlocked.
You could say that.
So how do we actually do this shadow work? Where do we even begin?
It all starts with self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
Paying attention to your thoughts, emotions, reactions, noticing where you judge yourself, where you hold on to fear or resentment.
Okay.
Then it's about practicing self-compassion,
Self-compassion.
learning to accept yourself, flaws and all,
Okay.
forgiving yourself for your mistakes.
You know, a lot of this resonates with things I've heard in therapy.
Absolutely. Being kinder to yourself is actually a superpower.
It really is.
And it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
There will be setbacks.
Of course.
But the more you practice self-acceptance, the stronger and more resilient you become.
Not just to negative energies, but to, all the stresses of life.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together,
Yep.
but I want to circle back to that idea of visioning, of shaping reality through intention.
Okay.
Because honestly, it feels like the most empowering part of Rasmussen's experience.
It's a powerful concept, isn't it?
It is. Instead of feeling like we're at the mercy of circumstances, what if we actually have more control than we realize?
What if we can actually participate in creating our own experiences?
Right. But it can't just be wishful thinking, right? I can't just sit here and say, I want to win the lottery and expect it to happen.
You're right. It takes more than that.
Okay.
It's about aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your desired outcome. It's about cultivating a clear vision of what you want and then taking steps, however small, to move in that direction.
So it's about taking action, but action that's fueled by intention.
Yes.
What else does Rasmussen say about this? Did he give any practical tips?
Well, he emphasizes the importance of being open to possibilities,
Okay.
to synchronicities,
Synchronicities.
to the unexpected ways in which the universe might orchestrate events to bring your vision to life.
It's almost like you're planting seeds and then trusting that the universe will provide the right conditions for them to grow.
I love that analogy.
So it's not about forcing things to happen, but more about setting an intention and then being open to how it might manifest.
Exactly.
And just like a gardener tends to their plants, you need to nurture your vision,
Right.
protect it from negativity, water it with positive energy.
I like that.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture.
Okay.
It's not just about daydreaming. It's about cultivating a specific mindset and then taking aligned action.
Right. And it's a continual process of tending to your inner garden, so to speak. Choosing thoughts, beliefs, and actions that will bring your desired reality to fruition.
This is so inspiring. It's like we're all walking around with these wands of manifestation, but most of us don't even realize it.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? The potential is always there, waiting to be unlocked.
Totally.
And once you start to tap into that power, once you start to consciously create your reality, the possibilities are truly limitless.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. So what does this all mean for our listener?
It's a call to action.
A call to action.
An invitation to explore your own potential, to step into your power as a creator. What kind of reality do you want to manifest? What seeds are you planting in your inner garden?
I think Rasmussen's story is a powerful reminder that we have more control over our lives than we often realize.
Absolutely.
And that even in the face of the unknown, even in the face of fear, we can choose to create something beautiful, something meaningful, something that reflects the best of who we are.
And remember, you're not alone in this journey.
Right.
We're all in this together, co-creating this grand tapestry of reality. So let's choose to create something amazing.
So well said. But I think we need to take this one step further. What are some concrete steps our listener can take to start cultivating this power of intention?
That's a great question, and one that deserves its own deep dive.
I know, right?
But for now, I would say, start with self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
Pay attention to your thoughts and beliefs.
Sure.
Are they empowering or limiting?
Okay.
Then practice gratitude.
Gratitude.
Focus on the good in your life, even the small things.
Okay.
And finally, take action. Even small steps in the direction of your dreams can make a big difference.
I love it. Simple yet powerful advice. And I think it's a perfect segue into our final thoughts on this episode.
Okay.
What are your parting words for our listener?
So, what I find really fascinating about Jon Rasmussen's experience on the Lowe Files is that it goes beyond just those spooky stories and the ghost hunting.
Yeah, it really does. It gives us a framework for understanding our own potential, especially when it comes to dealing with the unknown.
It's almost like a roadmap, you
Yeah.
know? Not just for navigating the paranormal world, but also our inner landscape, like our minds and emotions.
Totally.
And that's something we can all benefit from,
Right.
whether or not we believe in ghosts or aliens or any of that.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that final question that Rasmussen poses in his blog post.
Oh, yeah.
If our self-acceptance is our shield against negativity, what aspects of ourselves might we need to address to strengthen our own spiritual immunity?
It's a pretty profound question.
It is.
It makes you think.
It really challenges us to look inward
Yeah.
and confront those parts of ourselves, that we've maybe rejected or disowned.
Like those shadow aspects that we're often afraid to face.
Exactly. It's like those old horror movies where the monster can only get you if you invite it in, right?
Right.
If we're constantly battling ourselves internally, it's no wonder we might feel vulnerable to negative energies from the outside.
Exactly. So the key is to turn on the lights, so to speak.
Yeah.
To face those shadows head on
Uh-huh.
and integrate them into our wholeness.
Yeah.
That's where true strength lies.
But that's definitely easier said than done.
It is.
Shadow work can be pretty intense.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for our listeners who might be feeling a little overwhelmed by all of this?
I think it's important to remember that this is a journey, not a race.
Okay.
Just start by simply noticing those moments when you're being critical of yourself.
Hmm.
And ask yourself, would I talk to a friend this way?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, then maybe it's time to offer yourself a little more compassion.
It's like we were saying earlier, being kind to yourself is a superpower.
Absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
something we can practice every single day.
And the more you practice that self-acceptance,
Yeah.
the more resilient you become.
Yeah.
Not just to those negative energies Rasmussen talks about, but also to the everyday stressors of life.
That's right.
This has been such an incredible deep dive.
It has.
We've covered so much ground, from the nature of the afterlife to the power of intention.
That's a lot.
Any final thoughts for our listener before we sign off?
I think Rasmussen's story is a powerful reminder that we are not just passive observers in this life. We have the power to shape our reality,
Yeah.
both internally and externally.
Yeah.
And that's an incredibly empowering realization.
It is. We hope this deep dive has inspired you to explore your own potential, to step into your power as a conscious creator, and to remember that you're never alone on this journey.
And if you're feeling brave, maybe even do a little shadow work of your own.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.